Monhegan Island, an island 12 miles off the coast of Maine where, in 1995, we fell in love with lobster boats. After many long discussions combined with a couple of trips back to Maine, we finally found the boat that was to be ours in Cushing, a tiny mid-coast harbor and one-store village. While upgrades were being made at Lyman Moore's boat building in nearby Thomaston over the course of the winter, we were busy preparing with courses through the local Power Squadron and the Great Lakes Maritime Academy. Well, we finally made it to Rockland, Maine and Cushing, and this is at Thomaston, and we're getting our first look at the new boat. A little bit different look at it from the bow on. Looks great. Tied up at the dock here. One of the mechanics is working on the boat right next to us, just ahead of us. That's what you hear. Doesn't that look nice? There's our first crew member, Steve Worm, our nephew from North Carolina, who helped ready the boat and spent the first 2 days aboard. We spent the first night of our journey at Maple Juice Cove, 3 miles from the ocean just off the St. George's River. We're on our way today down to Portland, Maine, 65 miles down the coast. Rounding out our 4-person crew is Captain Andy Rowe of Camden, Maine, who joined us for the first 2 days of the trip to Boston. He agreed to come along to help us rookies navigate the always tricky Maine coastline. This day started with dense fog, but by the time we approached the Kennebec River, the thunderstorms had cleared, the fog had lifted, and as we neared Jewel Island, the sun was bright overhead. We pulled into Portland, one of Maine's largest small cities, around dinner time after an exhilarating 65 mile trip along the coast from Maple Juice Cove and Port Clyde. Our stay here was at DeMillo's Marina. Steve had to leave us here, so it was Captain Andy, Pat, and me left to work our way south from Portland, around Portland Light, and then on to Manchester, Massachusetts. Manchester Marine, Manchester, Mass. It's 6:30 in the morning here in Manchester. We're going to pull out, head to Boston, pick up the Craigs, and then try and get down to the Cape Cod Canal.
Well, that's what it is, that noise.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what GQ equals 9. Maybe it's just a warning that it's not as accurate as it might be or something like that. Or
I did know what that GQ is.
General quarters.
Yes. Yeah, just coming in at Rose Wharf at Boston Harbor. Andy at the wheel and Pat and I taking pictures.
Hi, yeah. Have you been here long? No. Good, Jim Craig. Glad to know you, Andy.
Well, our captain is leaving and we're on our own. It should be an exciting time.
From Boston, it was on to Sandwich at the beginning of the Cape Cod Canal. After an overnight in Sandwich, Mass, we started early through this 8-mile commercial waterway, passing under a vertical lift railroad bridge and a fixed bridge. Our new navigation skills and a lot of good luck have really paid off. The Massachusetts Maritime Academy sits at the western end of the Cape Cod Canal, just before entering Buzzards Bay. This commercial and recreational waterway carries a surprising amount of traffic. We came into a calm Buzzards Bay, but with thick fog which continued through Woods Hole. Our lookouts worked hard that morning, especially with all the commercial and fishing vessels going in and out. And Pat spent the morning honing her radar skills. After a pleasant day and evening at Oak Bluff on Martha's Vineyard, we headed back down the Vineyard Sound past Nosham Island and Cutty Hunk, bound for Long Island Sound, then on to Stonington, Connecticut. During the 32 nautical mile run to Connecticut, we saw a couple of tall sailing ships and plenty of lobster boats and trawlers. We passed within 6 to 8 miles of Eastern Block Island. Our GPS and compass course was set for Point Judith, at which point we would change course for Stonington. Pat and Katie enjoying the beautiful salt sea air and sunshine with lunch in the cockpit. Our waypoint is a bell buoy just off Point Judith, Rhode Island.
Now this Captain Jim at the helm, he's wearing his Tuesday uniform, different than his Monday uniform. Yeah, we're zipping along in a following sea about 10 knots, doing just fine. Another lobster boat working it's about 10 miles off Point Judith. Yes, R2 off Point Judith, that's the one we were looking for. And now on to Stonington. We've just come into Dodson's boat yard in Stonington, Connecticut. It's just about 3 or 4 miles from Mystic. Yeah, here comes the train. It's a beautiful harbor here. And right next to the harbor, here comes the train. Still lobster boats along here as well. There's still quite a bit of commercial fishing going on here. And lots of trawlers and draggers and a few lobster boats. We're not seeing quite as many lobster boats as we did farther east. Right behind us here on the dock where we're moored or tied up is a big Grand Banks, about a 44-footer, just beautiful. Lots of sailboats in here. We covered 65 miles today from Martha's Vineyard into Stonington, Connecticut. And yeah, as Pat says, first hour of it was in fog, real slow. Now we've just come in from our run down from Milford, Connecticut, and we're now in Mamaroneck, New York. The run today was only about 3 hours, and we're in Brewer's Boat Yard here in Mamaroneck, New York, and we've got some great boats. Right next door to this yard here at Brewer's is a boat yard that makes the America's Cup sailing boats, and made out of aluminum. And it's just a very nice port. I'm going to try and get Pat to get off our boat and come on up and sit down and have a good rum. Poured one in the water for the old man, and this looks like just a delightful place. There she comes. Katie, Jim, turn around and wave here for a minute. There they are.
Third and fourth mate.
Yes. Spent the whole day in the fall weather gear today. A lot of rain and wind, and yeah, it was a great day.
Oh, it was a great day.
Started out in a big blow, and not so much a blow, but high seas and rain.
Rain, a lot of rain.
We're just approaching the entrance to the East River in New York City. The Throgneck's Bridge is just ahead. We spent lots of time worrying about the tides and the currents and planned our arrival into New York at the change of the tide. The Manhattan skyline lies ahead. LaGuardia is on our left, with a jet taking off right over our boat.
Swinging around now and following the East River, and there's the Manhattan right down there with the Empire State Building in the center. We've just gone by Rikers Island, the garbage island, floating prison, and we're going to make a turn around North Brother Island and head down to Manhattan through Hell Gate. Looking back, the East River, and way back there is Hell Gate, and we're coming up on the UN building, right just off to our starboard side. This is really quite a sight.
From Hoboken, New Jersey, the Manhattan skyline is ablaze with light. We survived the East River, and tomorrow it's up the Hudson. While Jim and Katie Craig watch Manhattan recede on an early Saturday morning, John and Kate Worm, Pat's brother and wife who came aboard in Mamaroneck, are at the helm and the chart table. They'll be with us for most of this next week.
Hey, turn around and wave here for the camera. We got you on the video. No, maybe better not. Yeah, we're looking back south now, on our way to West Point. West Point is about 5 miles ahead of us. Just wanted to get a shot of these mountains here. Just come past Peekskill, New York, on our way to West Point.
Finally, West Point appeared, large, on our left.
We spent last night at the Poughkeepsie Yacht Club here on the Hudson. It's just about halfway between New York City and Albany. It's just a beautiful, beautiful spot. Very nice people, and we had a great night.
Jim Craig just came off watch. We passed a lot of old aids to navigation. This one was one of the oldest.
After Jim secures the road.
Okay. Well, listen, it's been one heck of a fine week.
One great week.
Oh.
I can't believe what a great experience. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. We want to
Yeah,
make sure.
yeah, we'll call you in
So
a few days.
thanks a lot, Pat.
We're
We've
gonna
had
call you
just
in
a
one day
fantastic
before,
time.
And then when you come up this summer, we'll find out.
Our final goodbye with the Craigs. It's been a wonderful experience. We sure will miss them. We're just approaching the first lock in the Erie Canal system. We don't know exactly what we're doing, but we talked to the harbor master, and he said to wait until the green light comes on. Here we have our trusted crew putting the bumpers on, trying to figure out how to protect our little blue boat.
Is this a good height?
Much deliberation here.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Lynn. This is lock 3.
Lock 3, okay. Starting to lose track already.
You can do it with that puppy up front.
Slide out.
We're going to have a little bit of fluid here when this thing...
Our first delay for mechanical problems. Schenectady, New York. Had to replace a fuel filter.
Be good to have it handy.
We almost lost them both over the back end. Gee. This is Lock 21. It's Wednesday morning. We're just a little ways from Lake Oneida. And this is the first lock we've come to where we're going down instead of being raised up.
Area code 216.
We're looking back now across Lake Oneida, 22 miles across, to Brewerton, just above Syracuse, New York. Beautiful, warm day.
Hey, John doing the holding tank routine. We're here
Very good job at that.
in Brewerton. Yeah, doing fine.
We've just left Brewerton, Syracuse area, and on our way to Oswego, New York, on the south shore of Lake Ontario. Then it's across the lake to Trenton and the Trent Severn. We now have 30 locks behind us, 44 to go.
We've just crossed Lake Ontario and we're now running down a river on our way to Trenton. And as you can see, the water is so calm. It's just been fantastic.
Hey, good morning, Captain.
At Trenton, Bob and Jane Holdeman joined us for the 240-mile windy trip through the Trent Severn waterway.
Yeah, we're at a double lock in the Trent Severn. We go up one level, and then we go up a second level. It's the first one we've had like this. We're in here with 4 boats, just up from where we stayed last night at, where did we stay last night? I can't remember. Campbellford. Look at the agony on his face.
Takes 45 minutes.
Well, because I've actually gone through here, I think, in 11 and a half minutes.
Really? By yourself?
Right now we're between Campbellford and Peterborough on a beautiful June 30th, the day before Canada Day. Everyone's out enjoying the sunshine after a very rainy day yesterday.
Yeah, we're kind of right between the two. In all ways.
We're just into the Peterborough Marina, and there's one of our sister ships on the left, the Night Crossing. And right next to them is a boat that we haven't seen before, but they've just been dancing away. And by contrast, in the park right next to the marina, there's a religious concert going on in the band shell with a lot of people.
Amazing grace.
You played that already.
Yep.
It's a very, very nice marina setting.
Fountain.
Yep, fountain out in the center, and lots of people here for the holiday. We're in the big lift lock at Peterborough. We're going up in a great big box. And as we're going up, another big box is coming down.
No turbulence when you do that.
We've just been lifted up about 60 feet, got a few more feet to go. While the other side of this big box came down, we're going up. And just leaving the big lift lock, it took us up about 60 feet. Big ferry boat coming up on our lock. We're just about ready to leave the lock, but the lockmaster said to hold on, this ferry boat was coming. Don't know exactly what he's going to do. We're at Viamede, just north of Peterborough. Here we all come trooping back from dinner. Tired out.
Tired.
Full.
Happy.
Happy. Bob taking pictures.
See the channel markers marking some of these very, very narrow channels.
And we're just coming up on Lindsay Lock near Fenelon Falls, the 33rd lock in the waterway, and our 65th lock since the Hudson River.
This will take us out into Mitchell Lake. Just a little rivulet. Very, very rocky along the edges of the channel.
Now we're in the first of 5 locks going down to Lake Simcoe. Today is really windy and overcast, a little bit of rain. I'm hoping it'll improve by the time we get to Lake Simcoe, which is going to be about 3 hours from now. This first lock is at Bolsover, lock 37, on our way to the Severn River.
Woo-wee, we're having the ride of our life across Lake Simcoe. We've got both Lindy and Bob captaining this ship, James hanging on for dear life, and I decided to come out and take a shot of this. The seas are wild, we're bouncing all around. The little old boat is just holding real well. We've got about 18 miles of this to go. It's quite an adventure. Lots of spray. I'm holding this as steady as I can.
There's Pat and Bob navigating out the end of this lake and into the Severn waterway. And I think over here we can get a picture of Jane.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning and we just arrived at Big Chute. It's a railway lift of some sort that apparently was put in to stop the lamprey eel from coming into the waterway. And they lift you up in a sling and take you across. So this will be a new experience.
Here we are at this railway-like lock. Boat's in a sling right now, and they're loading a couple other boats on, and then they're going to tow us right up and over and back down into the water. Here comes the second boat in behind us, and there are several others waiting at the dock. See how many they can get in here. Here comes the third boat in, a nice big carver. This people we met this morning from Aurelia. Yeah, this is where we bumped the rock. Took everything on the keel, but no damage at all to.
You're just out over the open.
We're going down the chute.
Mayday? Well, it had to happen after nothing but good luck and good weather. Smoke billows from the bilge, brought to our attention by a friendly boater next to us. After a few panicky moments, where we thought it was all over, we see that our starter has burned up and our trip would be slowed by a day at Big Chute.
We're just coming out into Georgian Bay.
A 38-foot bayliner went on the rocks, tearing a hole in the bottom. It could happen to anyone.
This is Tobermory at 6 in the morning.
Then it was time for the long Lake Huron crossing. We had every kind of weather, including dense fog, then wind, and finally high seas. But our GPS was miraculous.
disappearing into the fog. Got our foghorn going. There it is. Come on. And we hit it just about dead on. Taking some big seas over the front of the boat. Bob got the helm, and we're coming up to Rogers City in about an hour.
We never fought.
We didn't have any mosquitoes, so that was the one.
We didn't. Where were you sleeping?
We didn't. It wasn't bad.
At Rogers City, our two daughters, Kristen and Katie, joined us for the final leg of the trip.
Great sight finally to see. We're about 8 miles away from the Mackinac Bridge.
We just pulled into Beaver Island. There's severe thunderstorm warnings up, and I thought I'd just take a picture of the sky. It's brightened a little bit since we pulled in, but a lot of boats are coming in mighty quickly.
Here's Kate doing her driving duties on her birthday. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
Taking us out of the harbor and ready for the last leg of the trip.
Ah, familiar sight, and the bluest water in the world right here at home. It's July 9th, 96, and we've covered 1,476.6 miles. It's good to be home.